Well, would you look at the time? It's time. It's time for a show. My beard's getting long. I gotta cut that. Coffee. I don't think you understand. When I wake up, I think, oh, I gotta wait to drink coffee because I have the show. Well, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Thursday, September 17th, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Did you put cat hair in it? I think there's cat hair in my coffee, which doesn't throw me. Well, I am tired. So, did some consulting work last night. Excuse me. Some computer work for a retail store, and thought I was going to be finishing up a project. And at 8:45, bumped into a problem and went, I'm not going to be able to work through this problem tonight. So there's a computer in my office. What's funny about this, not that any of you would know this, is that this is a throwback to what I used to do. There were days in my old apartment after college where I would wake up and not even put on the type of clothes I would leave the house in because I had 15, 20 computers to work on. It was crazy. They would go in a line chronologically. And I remember the day that they ended up in the bedroom. It was a small apartment, but still. I said, I got to get some help, and I got to get a space. And what I should have done is just kept raising my rates. I shouldn't have gotten help. I shouldn't have gotten space. And that's kind of what I'm doing this time around with my consulting work. Just keep raising the prices. For example, the work I was doing last night was for a client that's been with me for a little bit, $75 an hour. I just booked a job with somebody that I have not worked with in the next few weeks, $95 an hour. Just keep raising the prices. But here's the irony. Rarely do people say no because of price. Price is one of the things people care about, but it's not the thing they care about most. Even if they tell you it is. What else happened yesterday? Had a great acupuncture session. Did some kata, some forms during the day. Not much, just I get the inkling, the hankering, that's the right word. I get the hankering to do some forms and just do a little bit. Got a text from a friend who I had introduced to my Taekwondo school. And she's like, it's not for me. What she really wants is her original karate school, which is not an option anymore. But that's what she wants. And she texted me and said she's going to give it another go. I hope she does. She lives like 10 minutes away. If that. Super close. We've all got to figure out what works for us, don't we? Half the battle's figuring out what works for you. Still blown away at all these plants. What else happened yesterday? I think that was about it. It was really nice. It was like 75 plus degrees here, which was a far cry from the mid 30s it was during the day, overnight. Not last night, night before. It was really warm, and I really regretted all the work that I had to do inside. But spent a little bit of time on the back deck and just kind of soaked up the sun. And hung out. It's nice. What's going on today? Well, I thought I was gonna. I had a few hours carved out to do any cleanup work necessary on that computer project, but that's gotten pushed back, so I just had a few hours open up. This one get some acupuncture this morning. I got a meeting, got a phone call, and just doing a bunch of work. Stacy, I don't know what you mean. Obviously, the good morning. Stacy says, good morning, the kind of grayish red sun. Oh, are you referencing, are we getting smoke from the West Coast? Are we having that? I didn't notice the sun yesterday. At least I didn't notice it to be different yesterday. It might be if, yeah, she's referencing the smoke. It might be affecting the sky. I didn't notice. I did not notice. It's a bummer. It's a bummer what's going on out there. Hope they get it taken care of soon. So what are the reasons I don't live out there? Between the earthquakes and the fires and way too many people, I don't want to be out there. I'd rather be here with no earthquakes, no fires, and no people. There's a reason I'm here. Oh, my neck is stiff. Comes from not sleeping enough. Is there anything else for us to talk about before we get into questions? I think I'll take a nap if I can. Jason says, we are getting the smoky sun here in Indianapolis. Hope Gabe and Jenny are okay. Last I talked to them, they were. Talked to Gabe. When did I talk to Gabe? Monday? Friday. Talking to Gabe again tomorrow. So, for those of you who may not know, Gabe and Jenny are a family in Portland, Oregon. And Gabe's a producer on Whistlekick Live, and Gabe and Jenny are just kind of around. They're part of the Whistlekick family, I guess is a good way to put it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. So instead of mumbling and stumbling, let's see what's here. Let's see what you all contributed for me to talk about. Somebody suggested once that we get our own coffee line, and I looked into that. I looked into it, and it was more complicated than I wanted to do. And then I found a company that would do drop shipping, you know, kind of on demand, but they wanted you to sell like 1,500 bags a month, and we might be able to sell 15 at this point. So that's on the back burner. All right, looks like we got stuff today from Frank, from Daniel, from John. All right. So yesterday we talked a little bit about friendship and the episode that I did recently on friendship, and John responded, my closest martial arts friend just recently moved halfway across the country. I'm happy for him and his family, but it hurts so bad for him to be gone. Taekwondo will never be the same without him there. All of your talk about friends over the past week has got me to thinking that I should start investing more into friendships with others at Taekwondo, the way my friend did with me. Yes. And this is one of the interesting things about friendships is that they require effort at the beginning. And if you haven't made new friends in a while, it can be easy to forget that. Most of us are uncomfortable, or at least not overwhelmingly comfortable with people when we first spend time with them. So to say, hey, you want to come over and watch the game, or do you want to, I mean, this doesn't work so much right now, but you want to grab a beer after class, or I was going to work on, forums this weekend, you want to join me? There are options in there. There are plenty of ways to make friends. at martial arts classes. And, you know, if it seems weird to do that, then come up with an opportunity for a group thing. You know, just invite everybody and see how it goes. Coffee came out perfect today. It's perfect, Susan. It's perfect. Oh, so the raccoons, knock on wood, are gone. And it's funny because of all the things that I was contemplating trying to deter them, you know what seemed to have worked? I peed on the ground. I didn't. I peed in a jar and then I poured it on the ground near the grapes. Not on the grapes, but on the ground. Low-tech solution. Did not deter the chipmunks. I caught chipmunks on the grapevines yesterday. But they're not waking me up in the middle of the night, so it's all right. I do sort of wish I'd taken a picture when I had the opportunity. If they come back, then I will. Now I got a few quotes from Frank. People who wait for changes to occur on the outside before they commit to making changes on the inside will never make any changes at all. Author unknown. How many times have you heard, oh, I can't join martial arts class yet. I got to lose weight first. That's just silly. It is. It's silly. It's silly. Oh, I can't do that yet. I got to do this. Now, sometimes there are real reasons. There are things that need to happen to get started. But most of the time, it's an excuse. I know plenty of people who don't get started at all. They live in this fantasy world. I'm thinking of a few people in particular who they've always got these great ideas. They're always going to change their life, but they don't take action. There's no effort to move forward. And that's unfortunate. You can't have progress without change. If you aren't happy with the life that you have, or the job that you have, or any of the things that you have, if you want them to improve, you have to change something. It's not going to change on its own. Your boss isn't suddenly going to become a nice person. You're not suddenly going to make a bunch more money. Your martial arts school isn't going to suddenly switch from whatever it is that you dislike to something that you really like. The city you live in isn't suddenly going to become a completely different place. You have to change it. You are the one with the power to do that. So own it. There are things I find very easy to change. Others that I don't. We're all the same in that way. But I recognize where my goals are. If you don't have goals, it's hard to know what direction to go in. Progress is impossible. Progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. George Bernard Shaw. I didn't read ahead. That's funny. Oh, what a riot. Well, I just talked about that one. But the second part, those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. It has to change in your mind first. You have to decide you want to do it. There's a Tony Robbins program that I'm working through, that I've been working through for quite a while. But one of the things that he says in it is, Everything in your external world started in your internal world. It was a thought before it was an action, before it was an outcome, before it was a place, whatever it was, it started in your mind. So that mental aspect, that belief, that desire is really critical. So don't underestimate it. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Viktor Frankl. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. We get so rooted in where we are. It can be really hard to see outside perspective. It can be really tough to recognize what's available. What we could be, where we could be, what we could do. The opportunities are unlimited. What's the example I gave? I mean, kind of talked about this before. The odds of me making it to the NBA right now, pretty darn slim. Statistically zero. But what if my dream was to be a pro athlete, regardless of the sport? What's the definition of a professional athlete? Someone who gets paid for their performance. Plenty of options out there. Plenty of lesser known sports. Heck, I could, if that was really my dream, I grow whistlekick enough and I start a team and put myself on it. There's an option, right? There's always a way. In the book, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the biggest things that the rich dad raises the children to believe is that if you want something, you don't say, I can't have that, I can't afford that. Say, how? How can I afford it? How can I accomplish that? And you can open that up. How can I accomplish that task? How do I find a way to make that happen? And that tends to be my mindset with most things. And it will pay off. I won't always be sitting on this couch in this small home. I mean, maybe I will, because honestly, I like where I live. Wouldn't mind if it was a little bigger. But things are happening. Got a really exciting email back. How do I want to say this? Okay, here's how I'll say this. So I've had an idea for a little while on how I might be able to start selling product again on Amazon, start getting gear going again without any upfront money. I've got enough history with the factory. I said, hey, what if I pay you as it sells? I'll pay you more, but I'll pay you as it sells. And they're open to it. One of the biggest challenges I had was managing all of that. Things are lining up. We're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. I'm going to be honest, take a slight detour here. Yesterday morning especially, because it's Wednesday. What do I do on Wednesday? I do the books. Money's tight. Money's really tight. And that's stressful to me. I'm sure if you're in a similar situation, or you've probably been in a situation where money's been tight, and that's stressful. It takes a toll on you. And I had 3 big things come back yesterday around clients, and 2 around clients, and 1, this response from the factory. And it's just gotta have faith. that it's going to work out. And I do. Doesn't mean I'm dumb. Doesn't mean I spend the money before it's there. But I trust. And our last comment today comes from Daniel. I think the word I've heard most from my instructor whilst training in any style I've tried over the years is relax. It seems it's the easiest thing to say and the hardest to do. The more I try, the less I relax, and I end up fighting like the honey monster with my shoulders all tensed up around my ears. Do you guys have the honey monster in the US? No, we don't. I have no idea what you're talking about. Have you any tips on how to relax while also performing a technique with speed and power? Anything I can work on at home? You know, it's interesting. And I don't look for opportunities to transition anything into what we sell. This is a huge component in the speed program. The speed program, what is it at now? Like $29.99. Those prices are going to go up, but the speed program has a lot on relaxation. So let me share with you a little bit on what you can do to work on relaxation. First off, recognize that a tense muscle cannot move. In order for a muscle to move, it has to relax and then engage. So if your muscle is tense, it's slow. This is the logic behind keeping your guards low when you spar. You know, maybe some kind of like lower front hand, higher up hand, just kind of hangs here, relax, as opposed to this. When I'm here, yes, I'm covered, but I'm slower. And you'll see there are a lot of people who spar, especially if they if they spar sideways. You know, Bill Wallace, kickboxing, kind of point sparring style. That's pretty fast because that front arm can just kind of relax and pop up when need be. So working on drills that involve knowing when your body is tense and when it is relaxed. If you're training in a traditional Japanese art that has the concept of sanchin, to work that and to know what that feels like, that can give you some body awareness, some, if we want to be nerdy, proprioception around when you're tense and when you're not. But I think the number one thing to practice, relaxation, and this is something I'm just coming up with now and I'm working through it in my mind as I'm talking, yes. I would stand in just a ready stance, just in Japanese, furudashi, right? So I'm just standing there, ready, you know, kind of lined up. I'm gonna pick my arms up a little higher, but I'm here, right? I'm just kind of hanging out like you might be in line at class. But let your arms drop. And just stand there completely relaxed and be aware that you're completely relaxed. And then execute the technique. Don't step, don't do anything. Just, so if I'm there and I want to practice a back fist, my arms are low, back fist, back fist. And I'm going to practice that back fist working on, okay, when I'm here, what has to be tight? At that moment of impact, my hand's got to be tight. I want this tight. Do I want my arm tight? Maybe, depending on how you're approaching it. I might think about it more like a whip. You might think about it more like a powerful move. But it's only at that moment of impact I want everything tight, and then I want it back. Because if we're looking at relaxation, relaxed muscles are faster, right? Maybe I'm practicing a kick. I can throw any kick from a standing position, or maybe I've got to adjust my stance a tiny bit. But I think that that's the easiest thing to do. Start from just kind of standing there, hanging out, arms long and loose, throw that kick, throw that punch, block, whatever. And work on making it fast. Do it in front of a mirror. Record yourself on a phone. Check your technique. The more you get used to that, the better off you'll be. You get a lot of people, especially I see this with big, strong guys that come into class, and they're used to using their strength as an asset. And when you're a new martial artist, being big and strong is not, it's an asset, but it can also really get in the way. Because you've got to learn how to relax first so you can throw the technique, and then you can put the strength on top of it. The proper technique is the foundation. Strength and speed are on top of it. In fact, I'd say strength is probably the last thing to add. If you want to go deeper on that, Daniel, let me know. Email me and we can go deeper on that. And if you ever, any of you want to email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. This might make a great candidate. I have agreed with myself that moving forward, we're going to launch a new show on Patreon. We're going to start it there. Where it goes from there, what comes off Patreon, how it expands, I don't know. And it's going to be addressing things like this, things that I can only really do with demonstration, because I get asked a lot of questions. I have most of what we've done at Whistlekick has been what I call style agnostic. It's philosophy and concepts that apply to everything. But when we don't do video, there's a lot of stuff that I leave out. There's a lot of technique, a lot of demonstration, a lot of drills that I know that I could share. That's some of the stuff I'm going to start sharing on Patreon. And I'm slowly figuring out what that means, what that looks like. Because doing video takes a lot more work, a lot more time. And filming yourself, pain in the butt. So what I might do is I might work out a few concepts and then have somebody come film me. So, all right, cool. Good way to end. Thank you to Daniel. Thank you to Frank. Thank you to John for your questions and your comments today. Thank you to all of you for watching or listening. I hope you have a great day. I hope you are less groggy than I am. I hope you weren't up until, when did I finally, I think I finished dinner at 10 o'clock. I hope you didn't do that. And I hope I see you back here tomorrow for Friday's show. If you have questions or comments or whatever, drop them below after the show ends and I'll respond to them. And if you want to support us, patreon.com/whistlekick or whistlekick.com with the code FirstCup15. Thank you to all of you. Have a marvelous day. Take care, everybody. Peace.